So, we are on to our next piece and part of the instrument, known as HPLC. So what we've seen so far is the description of the degasser, which is here, the description of the mobile phase tray, which is here, and then we're going to go to our third piece finally, and this is called our pump. So we need to talk about what the pump does, the purpose of the pump, and why is it so important to really play a big focus on this particular piece on the instrument itself. So let's take a look at the pump in a closer look. Okay, so this picture up at the top is the pump with the cover closed. And then this picture down below is the picture of the pump with the cover open. So that way you can kind of see the before and after. We like to hide all of this tubing and all of these mechanical pieces in a laboratory. We just don't want to see that. It looks messy. So we cover it up with a nice face, a nice cover, so that way it looks pretty on our lab bench. But this is what we call our pump, and this is the major workhorse of the HPLC instrument. Now, what does that mean? Well, this pump does all of the work. And meaning work, it does a number of different things to make this instrument operational. Number one is that it pulls the mobile phase through the instrument itself. So the methanol and the water and the acetonitrile and the buffers that sit on top of the instrument, the pump is pulling those out of the jugs and pulling them into the actual instrument itself. So that's number one. If the pump goes bad, then the mobile phases do not get inserted into the machine and you cannot get separation. Number two is that the pump also helps mixes the mobile phase with your sample. Again, if this does not happen, your sample does not get introduced into the HPLC system, and it's got to be introduced to get analyzed. Number three is that the pump then pushes everything through the HPLC. So it sucks the mobile phase out, it mixes with the sample, and then it pushes everything else through the HPLC system itself. So the pump is a pretty large player when it concerns pieces and parts and what I should really be taking an interest in as far as making sure this machine stays operational on a daily basis. The pump goes bad, the machine goes down, and you cannot replace the pump pieces until maybe someone comes out and fixes it for you. So that's always bad news when that begins to happen. There's two different types of pumps that we can talk about. One of these is called a binary pump, and the other one is called a quaternary pump. Alright, so if you know anything about prefixes, you're going to see the word bi in front. And bi means two, right? So it's got to mean something that deals with two pieces. So we'll talk about that in just a second. And then if you look at quaternary, so this quat is typically designated for the term four. So there's a two something and a four something involved in the pumps. Okay, so what is the two and the four representing? Well, these are representing the number of different types of mobile phases that the machine can pull from. So a binary pump is able to pull two mobile phases, maybe methanol and water, and mix them together for you and put them into the machine. Or maybe water and the buffer, and it mixes them together and pulls them into the machine. That's the purpose of a binary pump. A quaternary pump takes all four. So it can actually take some water and some methanol and some acetonitrile and some of the buffer and mix all four of those together and shoot them into the instrument. So quaternary can pull from all four jugs at one time. Binary can only pull from two jugs at one time. Okay? Now, out of the price point here, Quaternary, of course, is more money because it's able to pull from more jugs, which means it's built a little more complicated than a binary pump than the binary pump does. What do we have on our HPLC system? The one that you will be using. Well, the reason that it's so expensive is because we went ahead and went with the leather option with this instrument. We got the quaternary pump. So we are able to pull from all 4 jugs at one time if we need to. We've got simpler HPLC systems in the lab. And, we've got the simple ones, so we wanted kind of a luxury model. We wanted an upgrade for this newer HPLC system that we put some money into, and we decided to go with a quaternary pump because of that. So that's the story with the pump. So if you take a look at these pictures, well, if I zoom in a little bit closer, this is a close-up of the pump with the doors closed. And up here you're going to see the model number again, LC20, and then it says Prominence Liquid Chromatograph. And then on this cover you're going to see the word called pump and program run and remote and GE. Okay, well, pump should be a dead giveaway that this is the pump piece. Out of everything that's on there, I see the word pump that's stamped on the front of the screen. So if someone asks me what this piece is called, I should never get that wrong, right? So if I open up the covers to the pump, this is what I'm going to see on the inside. All right, now, if you look closely at these pieces of tubing, they are stamped with A, B, C, and D. All right, those are from the mobile phase jugs, right? We said that the mobile phase lines are labeled as A, B, C, D, and they come in through the degasser, which is up here on top, and they come into the pump area. And this A, B, C, and D is the same lines as the mobile phase from up above. All right, so that just allows me to kind of track what's going on throughout the machine itself. The actual pump is this silver box, okay? That silver box is the sucking device that pulls the mobile phase from the jugs, and it's also the device that will gradually insert your sample into the machine, and it's also the device that will push your sample and the mobile phase through the machine and out the other end. So it's this small little stainless steel box right there that has all of these gears and mechanisms on the inside that allow this machine to do its job. At any point in time, some of these gears, some of these washers, some of these nuts, some of the bolts can loosen, they can strip, they can go bad, and you need to replace them. So this is part of our maintenance that we do on the instrument every year. We want to go through, we want to maintain it just like changing your oil in your car. This is something that we always want to keep a track of to make sure that nothing surprisingly is going to happen with the machine. What's this valve here? That looks pretty important, right? It's kind of up front, center, and in your face. This black dial is something that we call a purge. All right, so let's talk about the purge for a minute. Well, if you've ever watched that movie, Purge, you know that this means to get rid of. And purging does just that in an HPLC. Purging gets rid of. Okay, well, what does it get rid of? Well, it helps get rid of bubbles, and it helps get rid of older mobile phases. Okay, so for instance, let's say that I've got my HPLC here, and someone comes in and they run an HPLC system with some mobile phases, right? So in it goes, and out my data goes, and this person walks off. So this person leaves with their data, and they don't really clean the machine. And then someone new comes into the area, and they have a sample that they want to run. Well, they've already pulled mobile phase through this machine, and they didn't clean or rinse out the machine after they were finished. So this person, just to make sure that the machine is ready for them and not for the previous person, will have to purge the instrument. And that purging basically means that you are flushing the machine out. and you're getting it ready for what you want to do with it. So very often in the very beginning, maybe in the morning before we start using the piece of equipment or before we actually use it for the first time that day, we will go through a purge system. And that purge will just purge everything out of the machine that was in there before, and it will pull in fresh mobile phases, and it will pull in fresh samples, so that way it can do the analysis that you want it to do. And that's the purpose of this dial. So I open this up when I get ready to purge, and I tell the machine, purge me please. And if you take a look on the actual instrument front cover, you're going to, it's kind of fuzzy, but this button says pump, this one says run, and this one says purge. So I will open this valve up and I push the purge button, and it begins to purge everything out of the system that needs to be purged out. Okay, so that's a little bit about the pump. And in the next video, we'll go through and we'll take a look at what the pump is doing and a little bit about the detector of the instrument. So we're almost finished with pieces and parts, so stay tuned.